Let's have a moment of silence. Stand for pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We call the Community Development Committee meeting for February 10th to order. Who we have today is myself, Commissioner Mullen. We have Commissioner Kipp, Commissioner Skoll, our Township Manager, Pastasio, Township Solicitor, Alex Balmer, and we have our Director of Public Works, David Elzier. Are there any public announcements?
There are none.
Do we have any presentations?
We have none.
All right, let's go to the approval of the minutes. Are there any changes or modifications that need to the minutes?
I have none.
I have none.
So we will approve the minutes? Can I get a second?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So we're on to new business. So this is for the bids for the route 611, 263 traffic signal upgrades in Upper Moreland Township. Pat, you want to give some information on that?
I do. In fact, we have our township traffic engineer here, and I think Anton might be a good person to provide additional information for this.
So this is the Route 611 and 263. This is a project to update the signal system. Probably that system was put in 2010, and the system that operates it, the computer system, is no longer supported. So the township got a grant to replace controllers, communication, and connect it back to PennDOT's Traffic Management Center. So this is to put the bids out to replace the equipment in the intersections. Took a little time to get to this point because we were working with PennDOT. Anything that goes through PennDOT for their TMC, they got to evaluate how they're going to get that communication back. It was originally planned to use its radio out there to communicate together. And typically it goes back to PennDOT fiber and a hub to communicate back to TMC, but that's at capacity now. So they took a while to decide how best to handle it. So we're going with a cellular option that PennDOT's requiring or recommending for this situation. They're going to provide the cellular equipment. We're upgrading the controller and the switches in the controllers.
I can just augment that just a little bit. We have a grant for $557,875. I believe we anticipate that will cover the cost of the project, with the exception of bidding the project and some inspection costs, which may cost the township about $12,000.
Did this come about through the 611 hardware study?
No, this is just something that's come up, just talking with Mike and Dave about the traffic signals. And, Mike's not able to monitor them as best as he can right now because he can't access the system. So part in and on PennDOT system, and allows us to do stuff in the future. We do have the other Green Light Grow grant it'll follow this, and we'll upgrade some of the detection out there. So it's just a continual upgrade.
So we never completed the system from the city line up to Blair Mill Road. Wasn't that the original plan?
There is a system out on the street that's radio. Again, that's probably, 15 years old, so it's due for updating. Abington updated their system. I know Cheltenham's going through it right now. We're doing it here with Upper Moreland.
This is part of that.
Yeah. Everybody's doing it individually, but it's kind of together.
So what we'd like to do is to move this for action at the March meeting so that we can advertise the bids.
Do we have a problem with the 12,000?
We do not. No, we have that in our budget.
Okay, so we'll move this to the March 3rd meeting for full board approval. That's it. All right, so then our next,
Public comment? Do we have public comment?
any public comments on the, okay, traffic light? All right, we're on to old business. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the draft bamboo ordinance. So hand it off again to Pat as well.
The board asked the solicitor to look at our ordinance to see what is permitted and not permitted as far as bamboo would be considered, and it is not permitted according to our ordinance, so folks can't plant bamboo. It's an invasive, and there are enforcement actions that the township can take. At our last meeting of this committee, one of the suggestions was perhaps if people wanted to plant bamboo, they can plant it in a box planter or some other sort of planter. So I think that's what was changed from the draft ordinance previously submitted to what is submitted now. And certainly Alex can talk a little bit more about it. It's my opinion that I think our ordinance as it currently is written is strong and we can enforce that. Our codes enforcement department is able to do that. I don't necessarily know that we need to provide a means for them to plant bamboo. But Alex, I'd certainly welcome any additional comments if you had any.
Sure. Yeah, so we had the first ordinance that you saw at the last meeting was just a standalone amendment to your code, right? So, I mean, it top to bottom, soup to nuts, as they say. I mean, regulation of bamboo. But, I mean, we looked back at it, it essentially is duplicitous, right? So what you're seeing this time is just a simple one-word amendment of the property maintenance code. And then the provisions essentially allowing the planting of bamboo, but with the same restrictions within containers and distances and barriers and all the things that were in the first ordinance. So, I mean, I've been speaking with staff and with Pat over the distance between the last meeting and this. I kind of feel like it's personally overkill. I mean, it accomplishes the same thing that's already there in your International Property Maintenance Code. But it just adds the very specific planting requirements. So, I mean, you can still enforce under the IPMC. I mean, there's still, of course, the person that's going to be responsible for digging it up and paying at their own cost, for moving it from township property, from neighboring properties. Long story short, you have an ordinance that already basically takes care of this, unless you want to go into extra depth on the planting requirements. I mean, that's really the only reason to adopt this new form of the ordinance.
And I think in either case, bamboo cannot be planted in lawns and gardens. It would, if you move forward with this, it would have to be planted as it's outlined here in specific containers.
So that was my question. Is it allowed to be planted? I thought it was maybe a weed and was allowed up to 12 inches with the previous one. It's not.
No, I mean, I think if you read the NPMC, it's clearly that it would not be permitted to be planted right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
At all.
And that's a stronger, what we have now. I mean, I don't see a reason to change it. Why let them plant it in an enclosed container? I'd rather them not plant it at all, and that's what the MPC code is.
Right.
It's up to anybody else.
You know, why even make a suggestion? Just don't do it. Right.
Any public comments?
So the draft here, the underlined wording is an addition?
Correct.
Okay. Seems like, so I guess I'm unclear too. Is bamboo permitted to be planted with these stipulations?
Yes, and that would be the change, right?
Okay.
Right now, under the IPMC, you would say it's a noxious weed and you would not allow it to be planted.
At all?
At all.
Okay.
This would allow it to be planted, but strictly contained within containers. And like I said, there's setbacks from property lines and distances and height requirements.
Obviously, I'm in favor of not planting it at all because it's so aggressive.
Right.
And that's our current ordinance.
Right. The IPMC currently would just allow you to identify it, cite the property owner, you know, and then request its removal at their cost. And of course, if they don't comply, then we can go remove it from the property and seek reimbursement for it and lien the property.
Okay,
And if it's in a pot, they can just throw it away.
yeah. So this whole thing came up because a resident called the township and the township, so I have no idea who, basically told them there was nothing they could do about the bamboo on the neighbor's property that was encroaching on their own.
No, that's simply not true.
I'm not familiar with that phone call. I'm not sure who they contacted.
I'm not
If
sure
you know who
either.
that person is, perhaps ask them to give me a phone call and I can explain this a little.
Okay,
It is enforceable. And if a complaint is logged, the Codes Enforcement Department will go out and review it.
okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, with that, I would just say, let's pull this off.
Yeah, we'll pull this off the agenda, yeah. Okay. All right, we'll move on to our monthly minutes. So we'll start with code enforcement, he's not here. So we'll start with the Public Works Department, Dave.
Thank you. You have my January report for Public Works and Waste. I have nothing further to add, but will gladly answer any questions.
How's the snow removal going?
Ice removal? Long?
We still have a lot of salt, right?
Yeah, we're good for salt. Just made another order today, so we're in good shape.
Any public comments? Okay. We'll move on to our traffic engineers report.
Sure. Traffic engineer reports in the packets. If you like, I just hit a couple of the projects, just some updates. Maryland Road Bridge, the last meeting that was awarded to by state, so that's moving forward. We're working on the contract documents. So hopefully we'll get a notice to proceed here in the spring for that work and hopefully be done this year. Maryland and Commerce, those intersection improvements, hopefully we're here at a future meeting here shortly to get that one advertised for a bid. We have one property owner we need a sign off from Jefferson Hospital, Abington. Bonnet Lane Park, this is the LSA grant the township got for the utility removal for the eventual park development. We've got pricing from Pico and Comcast, waiting for Verizon pricing, and hopefully it's all, what looks like hopefully we're all within the grant requirements so we can get the poles that go through the park from Mill, across Bonnet, get them removed, and also the Mill Road poles on the park side removed. So that's what the goal is, and hopefully that's this spring, summer will get done.
That's great.
Is there any other projects on there anybody like to go over, or any questions?
The only thing for Maryland Road,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have to close it. They're gonna be able to do it while it's open?
For the structure?
Yeah.
Yes, that the intent is to leave it open, and they're basically building
Underneath.
a bridge inside the bridge. So the road will be open to traffic, might be a restriction on a little bit side, but we should have at least one lane in each direction there.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anton, just a question with the grants that we have moving forward. We're in a good position right now. We asked for an extension on, I think, 2 of the grants that is expiring this summer, and we believe we're going to receive those, and all of our other grants, all the work is proceeding as scheduled, and we should exhaust those grants within the time frame, most likely.
Yeah,
And if we don't, we ask for an extension.
Correct, yeah, I mean, we have one for the design of the Turnpike interchange that we're asking for that extension. That construction was funded through the PennDOT TIP construction, and they're gonna finish final design, so we're gonna take it through preliminary engineering with the grant that the township got. The township did get a PennDOT MTF grant for construction, a separate grant for 1.3 million. Since it's getting funded through the TIP, they're gonna take that grant back, and that relieves the township of, I think it was like a $300,000 match requirement. So hopefully there's looking no cost from the township into this project, so. And the other one is the one we just talked about, the traffic signal technology one, that will get an extension, but the rest, I think we're on, you have your tracking list, and we'll keep working with Pat to make sure we're on pace.
I was with the Secretary of Transportation, and he said we had a small meeting, just so people are aware, That's really say around 2031, 32 for actual construction. Because somebody asked me, what, no, they're going to do this. And no, it takes a while for the tip people and everything else to actually do the work. It's all the prep work that's getting done now. So don't expect it before 2031. That's when he said it would probably actually start.
Yes, it has the funding, has to go through all the clearances that are required.
Okay.
I wonder how many years ago Commissioner Spearing just proposed this, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll have the Environmental Advisory Council, Advisory Council, EAC.
Hello again. The library, the EAC, and the Shade Tree Committee are all collaborating on presenting a talk on native trees on May 10th at 1:30 at the library. We will give out some free native trees and also do a demonstration on the correct way to plant a tree. We also plan on supplying, in fact, we're in the process, I'll drop it off tomorrow, a Bluebird kit to the Environmental Club at the intermediate school. They will assemble it, and then we will make that part of the Habitat Heroes that's planned at Pelagi Park sometime this spring. We'd also like to maybe stencil the storm drains. At one point, we did put decals on them, but they actually didn't wear well, and most of them are gone or illegible. So we'd like to maybe stencil the storm drains this time, something like nothing down the drain but rain, drains to the nearest stream, that type of thing. And wondering about maybe the high school environmental club helping us with that. Is that okay? And maybe NHS, maybe some Eagle Scout. Okay. Of course, we're also continuing to plan for Earth Day. And the last one is now moot. Let's point there on the report. Anything else? Any questions?
Have you talked to Kate about Eagle Scout project, perhaps? Because I know every year there's 3 or 4
Okay.
scouts looking for a project, so. They always run through Parks and Rec, so maybe communicate with Kate.
Okay, sounds like a great idea. All right, any other questions, comments? All right.
Thank you.
Yay, Eagles.
Historical Commission.
Good evening, Commissioner Sue Worth-Lamanna, President of the Historical Commission. Yes, I was just at the railroad crossing for 17 minutes in front of Kremps. Are we ever going to have a new station built?
It's getting closer.
We're getting closer.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know I'm off the thing here, but anyway. So we have a report to you, and I assume you have an opportunity to have read it. So I won't go over everything again. We are going to put 4 homes up on the historical inventory between now and June. We expect that to happen. We're going to try to fast track one of them, which is the Park home across the street from Bueller Park, because the family that lives there that would like their house to have that designation, he is serving in the military and has been for years, and he is in South Korea right now and will have the opportunity to come home for his child's graduation in June. So we know that we would have to get that before you as a CDC, in May to go to June's first Monday, right, for a graduation, to make all this work, in other words. So for them, so that they could be here in the room where it happens, and he could be there too. So that would be our first thing that we want to get done. And we may want to change the way in which we give that plaque so that it can really be on the house. I realize, thank heavens for Facebook in many ways, the memories. It's been 11 years since we've put anything on the historic inventory, and I know it because it was my personal choice to work on the American Legion, and that is the last building that we got on. Now, we did put, before you all, the right to put the mineral spring, the actual physical spring on. But there's been no sign and there's been no attempts that we could, well, COVID happened and we know what happened there, to actually get that up to speed. So, and then with the train station coming in, we've really put it on the back burner. But that should be number 44. It was last time we put something that wasn't a building or a residence. So, first time, did I say last? So we may have to revisit that in some way, and we probably should do that through Parks and Rec. Yep, okay, we will do that. Two things, could you help us with? Clarification on our need as the commission to have a permit for an event at the farmstead. What is the actual procedure that we do for that? Since we're in-house, we're not the soccer association or something else?
What kind of event are you planning?
We were hoping to be able to do a movie for the entire township and anyone else interested, outdoor movie, and it would be, so we could, see it in the dark, so to speak. So it would be end of April, beginning of May.
And is that something you wanted to do on the soccer field or within the buildings themselves, like the?
Probably have the screen set up on the property.
Within the buildings?
No, not inside, no, just like on the barn side or maybe the side of the house, really.
Okay. I would suggest give me a phone call tomorrow and we can talk about it.
Okay.
There's two different reservation opportunities on that property. So depending on where
reservation
you wanted to do
opportunity.
it and how many folks you have,
Okay.
there's different policies. So
Okay.
I don't want to go into it tonight, but I'd be happy to talk about it with you.
Thank you, Pat, I
Did you
really
do the same
appreciate that.
paperwork as everyone else that we just passed last month?
Well, it's different because it's in a park, so there's a,
There's
we haven't
layers
passed
here.
the parks section of that ordinance, and the Parks Department does have a large event policy, so there's a lot of parameters that would have to be discussed.
Okay.
Okay,
And I can walk you through that process, or Kate can, but,
Okay.
But I would start with me.
all right, I appreciate that. Flags, American flags on public poles, that's the other thing where I would need to know what you all could be thinking about the shot heard around the world is still in April of this year. I know our birthday is next year, but the beginning of the Revolutionary War. So we were hoping to be able to start, because we know what it's like to do anything. We're realists that way. So American flags on Pico poles, any poles, not our poles. That's easy, but if Abington can do it, it's a bit of a challenge here up Aurora. If Abington can do it, why can't we?
Yeah, I can reach out to our contact at PICO to see what the regulations might be on that. Do you have
Maybe
any?
they've even changed because we're coming into an anniversary of the nation.
Do you have any plan or number of polls or anything that you're thinking, or this is just a creative idea right now?
Well, we were looking at the downtown. Of course, the downtown has our poles and we have our historical banners on those poles. So we're fine with that. Obviously, we're not going to take them down. But yeah, down Davisville, down part of York.
Similar to the Christmas ornaments that go up?
Well, they're on random poles.
They
We'd
are.
like to have a kind of a
But, I'm sorry.
Champs-Élysées look.
I guess what I meant to ask is that large of an area or that small of an area, Easton Road, out York Road, up Davisville Road, those?
Yeah, easton to Moreland and up to Allison and, the village of
Okay.
the heart, as
I'll-
Commissioner Scully calls it, the heart of Upper Moreland.
You had
is
mentioned
really
this
good.
last meeting, and I'll reach out to our PICO contacts to see what requirements they have.
yeah.
If we could do this, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, and don't mind me, but do tell them that Abington has them. Don't rat Abington out. But they did it somewhere along the line, so that Keswick area has American flags in residential areas on poles.
On Pico poles?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
okay.
I have pictures of this, I guess. Yeah, it's where my dad grew up. It's that area over on Roslyn Avenue, Tyson Avenue, Robertson, General Keswick. So go look, you love it. see if we can replicate it, Commissioner. I'd appreciate it. Any questions or comments about anything the commission should be doing? Thank you for approving, by the way, the people last week. We appreciate that. And we need 2 more people, so if anybody's interested in joining the Historical Commission, we welcome you to submit to our township manager.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that being said, meeting's adjourned.
Trying to be my way.